impacts success. And one of the things that impacts success is this whole notion of stress at home or stress at school. Now here you have an academic advisor, your freshman year instructor will help you with the academic things. But stress at home or stress in the community is also an issue. So let's do that little exercise. As you're sitting here, looking at me, listening to me, there's some other things in the back of your head. Somebody shares something else that's on your mind. Not to say that you aren't paying attention, but there's something else that's on your mind that you have to deal with. If you think about that for a minute. Does anything come up that anybody wouldn't mind just sharing with the group? Something else that's on your mind today at 10:35? Want to say what else is on your mind? It's not just me and Medgar, I know. Some other things. Yes? Who wants to share? What else are you thinking about? Something else on your mind?
I have a placement test tomorrow.
All right, that's on your mind. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thinking about the placement test and the reading and the writing. How long have you been out of school?
Since
97. 97. So you haven't been doing a lot of reading, writing, and math since then, or yes or no?
I've been in touch, but
Okay.
not in the test.
Yeah, that's a great example. That we're sitting in a place and something else is running. So that's the placement test tomorrow. You'll do well. You'll do well. Have the right attitude. I'm going to do well. What else is on somebody's mind as you're sitting here thinking about what? What else? Anything come up that you want to share? Or is it X-rated? No, it's not X-rated, right? No, okay. But the point is that you may be, when it's time for a final exam or midterm or quiz, and you come to take the quiz, and you don't do well. Why? One reason might be why. You're thinking about these other things on your mind. You're thinking about these other things on your mind. So I want you to get, into the habit. I want you to get into the habit, first of all, of speaking up, speak out, and speak up. And turn your cell phones off. Very, very important. Speak up and speak out. So if you're taking a final, preparing for the final, and you can't concentrate because this other stuff is on your mind. So we put this other stuff in the category of stress, tremendous stress. And there's tremendous stress because we have different aspects to our beings. We are social persons. We have financial issues, might have emotional, mental, spiritual issues. And when we're dealing with all these issues, when something is not in order, it causes stress. So if the finances are not in order, that's stress. Emotionally, mentally, something is happening, that's stress. If you're a parent worrying about the child's illness, or if you have a teenager and the teenager is not going to school, or you have a relationship situation that's threatening to get out of hand, or whatever, if it's something that's kind of stressful, we want you to know that Medgar is a place for you to come and talk about that. It could just be, you don't necessarily have to go through a big thing. You might see me in the hallway. And remember, oh, Professor, you said come talk to you if you're going through some little changes. Yes, come, let's talk. Close the door, it's confidential. What's on your mind? And you talk. Because when you do that, you talk and talk it through, it's very, very useful, very, very helpful. Because what you want to do is clear your head and your heart for study, right? To receive things, your mind, your head, and your heart have to be clear to receive. So your mind, your head, your heart can't be clear if something else is cluttering it because of some concern that you have, right? So right now you're worried about the technician, so you're looking at that, and you're also trying to listen to what I'm saying. It's like a natural kind of thing. You're thinking about that as well. So when you become stressed at Medgar Evers, what are you going to do? Well, the options are several. Your FS teacher is the first person you might want to talk to. Depending on what the issue is, the FS teacher might say, you know what, I think you should talk to a counselor or Professor Bandele in the Women's Center. Or, you know what, you should talk to someone over in the Male Development Center. Or this is what I think you should do. But whatever it is, our responsibility is to alleviate the stress so that your head, your heart can be clear for you to receive the instruction and for you to enjoy the college experience. That's what it's about. So again, the stress could come from money, it could come from relationships, it could come from children or parents, what we call family dynamics. It could come from a whole host of things. But whatever it comes from, just don't continue to go to class. Because if you continue to go to class, you're not going to be able to give it your full, your all, because of this other thing that's pressing on you. Actually, you know what? Depression is actually what? A pressing down of the spirit. That's really the meaning of depression. So we don't want you to get to that point. A little, upset, stress is healthy. What's not healthy is not dealing with it. It's continuing to say, oh, I can get through this, or I can get over that. And particularly, and this is a hard subject, for the many people who were molested as children, sometimes that comes up. All these years later, say, gosh, this happened so long ago, I thought I was over that. Sometimes things in the college kick that memory up, Psych 101, something else in FS. What happens if this old memory comes up? What happens is that you say, I know someone who's an expert in dealing with this. And that's Professor Bandele. I'm an expert in dealing with these issues, particularly childhood molestation and how it manifests in adulthood. So that's a whole area of science and of healing and so forth. So there's a whole range of things, and I'm thinking about all of the issues that come up. Or it could just be you're excited, just not pathology. You could be excited about this. I called somebody on the phone yesterday before I was coming back to Medgar, one of my colleagues. I said, gosh, I'm so happy and excited to be coming back. And so there was this long, dead silence on the other end. It's like, okay, that's just me, hyper. Not everybody is hyper. But you should be hyper. It's your life and your chance each day to make that day count. So why go through life dragging? It takes more effort to drag than to just be about your business, and your business is studying. So when stress comes up, you're going to get help. And you're not going to be shy. You're not going to think that nobody has dealt with that. Believe me, I have heard every story. These 29 years counseling women, and mostly women, I've heard every story, every scenario. And I know the value of talking about it, getting it out of you, clearing your heart so that you can receive instruction. Now, diversity. We talked about that. We're talking about Medgar being the Medgar way. Look at the diversity. Male, female, right? Heterosexual, homosexual. You don't know who's homosexual. You can't assume everybody is heterosexual. Christian, Muslim, atheist. You don't know who's who, who's what. Right? English as the first language. English is not the second language. You don't know what's what. Is one better than the other superior? No. We're all is one race, the human race. One race, the human race, with all of our differences. At Medgar, we celebrate our uniqueness, but we connect with the other students in their diversity. And it's a great thing to learn about different cultures. We used to do an international thing, I think we do it, where people are from different countries. Let me hear the countries that people, their home country origin, where your parents are from. Parents from. Jamaica, parents from. Trinidad, parents from. Jamaica, parents from. Trinidad. Nigeria. Jamaica. Ghana. Barbados. What does that mean? Good old USA? Okay, say God bless Africa, God bless Jamaica, right? Okay. Yes. Haiti. Haiti. St. Vincent, small island, right? Okay. U.S., okay. Yes. Yes. Pink blouse. Yes, ma'am. Trinidad. Trinidad. Okay. Spain, yes. U.S. 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 St. Lucia. Jamaica. Trinidad. Barbados. Panama. Good, second language, yes. Trinidad. Guyana. U.S. Trinidad. Yes, are you bilingual? Excellent. Jamaica. Jamaica. Trinidad. Grenada. U.S. Jamaica. 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 Grenada. Grenada. U.S. Trinidad. Guyana. Haiti. Haiti. Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. Bilingual is good too for people who have that facility. So it's diverse. It may look like really, really overwhelming. Jamaica's in the house, maybe, maybe not. Trinidad, I think our snapshot shows that we have a significant number of students, you know. So that means you can join the Caribbean Club, you can do some other things, or you can do other kinds of we have great clubs. So even if you're from the same place, doesn't mean you know one another. You know, could be from Jamaica, but doesn't mean that you know that person. So that's a diversity, but there are people from other places as well. We have a few Asian students we have, and students from other places. So the thing to keep in mind, though, is that it's one race. It's one race. But this is a historical black college because we're dealing with the reason it was founded by this man, Medgar Wiley Evers, and what he died for, and our symbol of freedom, justice, knowledge. So stress issues, diversity issues, and we're starting our campaign where we say the Medgar way is that we are courteous to one another. And we don't use profanity in the hallway. This is a very, very special place. We don't use profanity. We don't use the N word. We don't use the B word. If that's in your vocabulary, strike it out. If you can't strike it out, totally strike it out in this place. Learn to kind of like rise above that. You know that's your language and you're free to speak however you wish to, but why do that? So when we say Medgar, the Medgar way is to remember, as Jeff Siegler said, the please, thank you, those things. But also to remember that you're doing it differently here. Your conversation should be different if you're in college. You don't talk the way you naturally would talk if you were just hanging on the corner of Eastern Parkway and Franklin Avenue with the limited vocabulary that doesn't go in complete sentences. Now, you may be in a situation where you have to do that, but you know there's another way. The tragedy is when people don't think that there's another way. So the whole question of identity for Medgar is very, very, very important as a historical black college dealing with people, primarily people of African descent, but not in an exclusive kind of way, but in a way that just acknowledges our roots or our genesis. But the main thing is to be accepting and tolerant of everybody. To be accepting and tolerant because you've never walked in another person's shoes, you cannot judge a book by its cover, and you don't know anybody's experience. Don't talk about people who've been in prison, convicts or felons. You don't know who's been in prison. What matters is that the commonality is that you're matriculating and you want to earn your degree. That alone is enough for you to connect to your fellow student. That alone, regardless of all of the other things. How many parents in the room? Mothers and fathers. Okay? Mothers and fathers, very, very important as you think about doing well so that you can have support, financial support for your children. Very, very important for your children and your families. So issues of diversity. School resources, campus safety. Oh, Jeff, you do that, do the other things. School resources. Well, there are many school resources. Some of them you'll hear about in the second workshop in terms of finances, but there's the Learning Center. How many, there's Sikh students? I think there's a different orientation. The Learning Center, very, very important to help with tutoring. The library is an excellent, excellent resource. All of the centers, the Women's Center, the Men's Center, Student Life, anything that seems to be impacting on your ability to get through, we want to intervene. We want to intervene in a way that's passionate and compassionate, but most importantly, problem solving. We want to resolve this little thing, whatever it is that's preventing you from fully going forward, we want to resolve that. We say, let's work together to make that a non-issue. There'll be plenty issues, perhaps that we can't resolve, but other things having to do with college policy, moving through the college, we want to make those things non-issues. But we can't work with it unless you bring it to us. Not just out in the corridor, you know, complaining. Speak up is your right, and we're here to listen to you. You are the most important person. Remember, it's all about me. You could say it's all about me, meaning you, Medgar Evers. So I'll bring my colleague to talk about a code of conduct and campus safety. Sometimes the public safety officer comes with some really, if people are in a really, really dire situation, again, from the Women's Center, we know sometimes women actually come to school with orders of protection, and we have a whole host of other kind of things. Men could have orders of protection. So our campus safety people work with students who are in that kind of situation. as well as just we want you to be safe. And do you feel safe on our campus? Yes, right? This is to be a safe place. We're small enough for that to happen. And so we want to, our public safety officers are really, really excellent. You can talk to them about issues and they can direct you. Sexual harassment is a no-no on our campus in terms of language and dealing with people. If you feel someone is sexually harassing you, you can come to the center, talk to an officer. Not about, you know, playful stuff, that's fine, or complimentary stuff, or things the way people like to conversate with one another. But if you don't feel right about it, then it becomes an issue. And everybody has the point at which that feels kind of, as we tell the children, if it's a bad touch, it feels yucky, yucky. Talk to somebody about that. We want you to have a good experience at Medgar. We want you to be fully open, your mind, your heart, your body, to receive all the great things that we have for you. And the college is open to receive the brilliance that you bring to us already, the brilliance that you bring because of the life that you have lived up to this point, and because of the decision that you made to come to Medgar. So my colleague, Jeff Siegler, will talk with you for a bit, and then I know everybody has questions, probably registration questions, all those other kind of questions we'll try to get to. Okay? Excuse me.
Hey, Safiya, you're mic'd up.
I'm mic'd up. Okay. I'm trying to go get my water. Want me to push it in?
How's everybody doing? Long time no see, right? Let's thank Safiya Bandele again for her presentation. It's so very, very important. I was looking, before I came up here, I was looking down each row just to see, you know, who might be taking notes or who might have brought a pen or a pencil or something to write down. And I say, I could go the old school way and say, you know, how dare you? You got to take something out. You got to write notes. You got to do this. You got to do that. But what I found sometimes when I used to teach in freshman year, you know, is that sometimes students write down notes and then they go home and they never look at the notes. So another way of accepting this, turning lemons into lemonade, is, you know what? They're not writing anything down, but chances are, at the end of the day, the thing that mattered most to them, they will retain. And that's the way that I will accept that, because there have been some times where I've been caught without a pen or a pencil, and I'm like, and, you know, a piece of paper, I'm like, gosh, you know, but then when I really sat down and meditated on it, the things that really mattered the most to me is that at the end of the day, before I go to bed, there's that thing that I will remember. So you just want to, you know, just try and retain and absorb. People are going to be talking to you all day, and it seems like a drag. But some of those things that she talked about, Sister Safiya Bandele talked about, is so important. So if someone can tell me from her speech, before I go into what I have to talk to you about, what is it that stood out in your mind as the most important thing that she said? Let me get some volunteers. You should be calm now, and you know that I won't hurt you. There's no right or wrong answers, so can I get a volunteer? I don't want to pick anybody. I want to see a hand go up and say, Sister Safiya said this, and it meant the most to me. Somebody else. Any hands? Well, Honey, since she didn't think that I remembered her name from last night. Honey, what did Safiya Bandele say to you that resonated with you, that stuck? All right. Don't let stress interfere with your studies. That's one thing. Okay? Anybody else? Anybody else? What stood out? What's your name, brother? Right here. What's your name? Huh? Davian? Excellent. I'm Jeff, all right? What is it that Sister Safiya said that stood out to you? What's that? Same thing Honey said? I forgot what Honey said. Somebody pointed out my gray hairs on top of my head, so I've forgotten what Honey said already. Don't let stress. Is stress normal? Yeah, right? But it's what? How you deal with the stress that determines how far you're going to go. Okay? Anybody else other than stress? Something that Safiya said to you that really stood out? How about something that you didn't expect to hear from her? Was anything that anybody did not expect to hear from her that she said, and you said, wow, Why would they be talking about this in college? Anything? No? Nothing that stood out? Okay. Yes?
It's not my situation.
Okay.
But she said that how the security people work with people in order protection. I never do that. I don't have that problem.
Sure.
You know, people can fully take advantage of that, but that's like really something that's positive because a lot of people who are in a situation hold themselves back because they don't think they can go no further than that room of wherever they locked away.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really good thing to ask for the colleges to where they allow people to advance.
Very good.
Beyond just those situations. So
Very good.
that was
It stood out, right? It's like, why am I hearing about this in college? But it feels good to hear that the option's out there. What's your name?
my name's Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. Nice to meet you. I'm Jeff. Okay? And that is going into basically what I'm talking about with public safety. Our public safety officers, sometimes you perceive them as, you know, well, they're toy cops. They're not toy cops. You know? Hey, listen, I'm going to be real. I'm going to be real. All right? And if I asked you, what is the difference between a real cop and a toy cop, is what? Most of us think is the gun. Okay? But we know that, you know, you can be a real cop and not have a gun, because you can be a person that is about helping, is about service, is about, what's CPR stand for? It's on the side of the cars. What is CPR about? Huh? Something. It is CPR, but on the side of the police car. I've forgotten all the letters. Professionalism and what? And respect. Doesn't say anything about filling you up with gunpowder, does it? Or bullets, right? So when I ask you, what is the difference between a real cop and a toy cop, our natural inclination is to say what? The gun, right? But when you start talking about courtesy, professionalism, and respect, to me, that's a peace officer, because that's about peace. And if you're going to be an officer of peace, that's what you should be about, right? When they're asking you for your ID, I usually have it, but I took it off because it just didn't look chic. It didn't go with my outfit. This is my identification card, okay? I keep it, and it's pink because this is a faculty card. When I switched designations, and I went over to administration, you know, that's the big dark word, administration, in 1999, I figured the only way I could still hold on to some respect from my peers in the faculty realm is if I maintain this card. But you will see different shades and colors of IDs. I believe the student card is a blue card. The staff card is a gray card. The pink card is a faculty card, okay? Now, I choose to wear this. We have a lot of different, you know, thoughts about how you wear this. I don't want to wear this. Looks like a dog tag. We fought too much to get out of slavery, and I don't even gonna wear nothing around my neck. All right, fine. You know, you do it your way. You know, I choose to wear it because if I don't wear it like that, I'll lose it. It has nothing to do about how I feel about it myself. I know I'm not a slave. I know I'm not a dog. I know I don't represent those things. But this is the most important thing that you need to carry because it identifies you as a student of Medgar College. Each semester, you have to go and get this card stamped. It should say, for this semester, it should say what? Fall of 2005. And when you come back to school in February, it should say what? Spring of 2006. Okay? This is important. It identifies you. It's something that they're going to ask you before you enter each and every building that this college has. Don't give them a hard time about it. All right? As you're coming to the door, you should what? Have this ready to show them. In fact, if they don't check it and you're not in a rush, and to not be in a rush means that you've given yourself enough time to what? Make it to class on time, that if they don't ask you, say, excuse me, Jeff Sigler said I should say this to you during my orientation. How come you didn't ask me for my ID? All right? Because it is their professional responsibility to ask you. It is your responsibility as a member of this Medgar Evers College community to do what? To show it. Why? Because we should be about what? Safety, knowing who's in. Now, if you don't have this, they're going to ask you to sign in the log. They're going to ask you to show a piece of ID. Does everyone right now have on their person a piece of identification that can identify you? Everyone? Excellent. You know how many people walk around without some piece of identification? Now, why is that dangerous in these days and times? Why is that dangerous, folks? Yes, brother. What's your name? Trev? Travis? Excellent. Say it louder, because I think you're getting to something that's very important as well, especially if you're. Mm-hmm.
Nowadays with the terrorism stuff,
Mm-hmm.
these gift stuff, they search you,
Right.
search your body. They could take it to you if you don't have it.
Right.
They could take you to jail.
Right.
A lot of things.
A lot of things. A lot of things can happen to you. Folks, have some. Oh, you have another one? Thank you. Exactly. Exactly. So you should have some sort of identification on you that speaks to who you are. Understand what I'm saying? That's important. And a lot of times, some of our loving officers will challenge you on that point, but they're just stressing the point because they know the law. And they understand that if you are detained or pulled over, profiled, whatever it is, and you cannot prove and demonstrate, like my man Travis said, you're going down. What's your name? Mark. Like Mark said, you'll be detained. I could have sworn I saw you in London. Mark? You look like a terrorist. Mark? You understand what I'm saying? What's your name, young lady? Regina spoke to something that before I left, you know, they said cell phones were really helpful in finding out, you know, what happened during the bombings in London. And they were also helpful in getting in touch with family members. Did anybody see that report before they came out today? Now, what's the acronym that they want you to have on your phone? ICE. A lot of emails going around saying, you know, get your ICE together. If you have a phone, ICE. And what does ICE stand for? In case of emergency. So that someone now, you know, I'm always of the suspicious mind. I was like, you know, that sounds like a good idea, but folks are going to start going in my phone trying to figure out other business. But it does speak to something that we should all have a what? A game plan in case of emergency. We were all here at 9/11, and you can just think back to where you were if you were in New York during 9/11. My wife was right around the corner from the towers. My son was at the babysitter. And I'm at Medgar Evers College. So we're at 3 different locations. And what it really pointed out is we did not have a game plan. That if something happened, what do you do in case of an emergency? So those are the types of things that public safety officers, they're there to help you in case of an emergency. If you have weather-related emergencies, you want to contact the public safety officers. Okay? So when you go down, how many of you already have your ID cards? All right, maybe one person, this is great. When you go down, I want you, when you get your ID and you get it validated, all right, I want you to ask them for all of their phone numbers, okay? I won't bog you down with this now, but their phone numbers are very important because if it's snowing, if it looks like a hurricane or a storm or something that might interfere with you having to come to school, you want to give them a call. They are the only people on campus who are supposed to be here 24/7. 24/7, including holidays, so that you can call dispatch is what they call it. That place where you come to show your IDs and sign in, they call that dispatch. Someone should be at dispatch, so when you get the numbers, and you can impress them even, it said, you know, excuse me, can I have your numbers at dispatch? They're gonna look at you like, wait a minute, how you know our terminology? You want to get those numbers so that in case of an emergency, you can contact the school, or you can have your loved ones, in case of emergency, contact dispatch. Let me speak to that issue. Safiya talked about what? Restraining orders, orders of protection. We are not bound to give information to any outsider that comes in here requesting information about you. Now, if it's a guardian, a legal guardian, and you are not of age, there are certain requirements and things that, you know, that we can do. But other than that, no one can come up to dispatch and say, hey, you know where Mark is, you know where Travis is, you know, I'm a family member and there's an emergency, I'm looking for him. Our policy is to, you know, get as much information about the person who's coming in here to look for you, take them to a location and ask them, well, you got Mark's cell phone? No, I ain't got his cell phone. Well, do you have his schedule? No, I don't have a schedule. Then you start working. So you sit that person to the side and basically say, you know what? Let me find the student. This person can stay here and wait. And when we find the student, we say, you know, Jeff Sigler's looking for you, Mark. Is that all right? Oh, yeah, that's my cousin, that's my brother. Fine. Then you can go and meet him. But if you let us know that that's not all right, or you have an issue with that person, then we can deal with it appropriately. You see how that works? Because it's about you getting what? Your degree. Remember? So anything that interferes with you getting your degree, we try and remove. The other fantastic thing that public safety will do for you is that in those cases, they'll give you a 911 cell phone. They have phones. They are working in collaboration with the 71st Precinct and what have you. They have phones that will dial out 911. So if you feel you're threatened or somebody's around you or stalking you or, you know, whatever the case may be, you can work with our public safety officers in terms of doing that. Let me tell you about your own little safety. I won't tell Safiya Bandele that you didn't put it on vibrate. I got to stop for a second. I told my wife this. I said, I was at the back of the auditorium, and Dr. Jackson's on the stage. You know, he's saying positive things, and if this is you, don't jump up and act out, because then we all know I'm talking about you, all right? And in the back of the auditorium, the phone rang, and Cassidy's I'm a Hustler came on. And I was like, you know, wow. You know, we had orientation, you know, and Dr. Jackson is saying positive things. And, you know, I'm a hustler, I'm a hustler, I'm a hustler, you know. And then they said the bad word. They said, get at me, you know. I was like, oh, no. And then I had to stop my foot from patting because the beat was, I was like, yeah, yeah. You know. But make sure your phones are off, because now it used to be it's just about phone ringing, but now it's like, I know y'all got rings for everybody. So I can only imagine who the hustler ring was for. You know, and this other sad funeral type music came on with a young lady that worked in my office. I said, well, whose ring is that? It was like, that's my mother. I was like, guys, you know, your mom called me and I'm putting on sad music, ooh. Send them to the Women's Center. So just make sure, you know, and I see CB and the folks in the back, so we must be winding up for our session, you know, and we have financial aid coming in, is that make sure that when you go to validate your ID, all right, or to get your ID, ask for the dispatch numbers just in case, have a game plan, know that we will do everything in our power to protect you. You know, there's no way in the world, if they cannot stop planes from going into buildings, there's no way in the world that I'm going to stand up here and tell you that 100% of the time that we can guarantee your safety. What we can guarantee, though, is we give every opportunity for you to have a safe, loving, caring, endearing environment. Okay? Give me a hand clap if you understand what I'm talking about. Excellent. The other thing that I'll just tie up in a nutshell is code of conduct. The reason why the Office of Student Life exists is so that in a more elaborate way, if you come in and you wanted to ask questions or what have you, we are there. I can give you a location that we'll probably be at, you know, for another couple of weeks. But if, you know, everything goes well, in about a month or so, we'll be in our new home, okay? But if you were there last night, we had a sheet in your folder. If not, we're in the Cal Street building on the first floor, okay? Ask for the Office of Student Life. They'll get you to me, all right? They'll get you to me, okay? But it's code of conduct. Safiya said no profanity. We don't want to hear that, you know. If you're doing poetry and what have you, and those other explicatives come up, we won't censor you, but we just don't want to hear that. It just sounds nasty, you know, and then your tolerance for it, it grows small, you know, the older that you get. I said I wouldn't say older. The more experience you get, your tolerance for the language, you know, it grows thin. Because all of a sudden you see a lot of comedians making a joke about how you can use one curse word and say a whole sentence. It could talk about people, places, and things. You make it a noun, an adverb, an adjective, and it's one curse word. And that shows that you don't have diversity in your vocabulary. What I am going to tell you is that pick a spot. In my office, we have the watch your language type of stuff in there. Pick a spot so that when they feel like cursing, we say, you don't say, you say sugar, honey, iced tea. That shows creative thinking. You say, oh, sugar, honey, iced tea. It sounds so much better than saying that other thing that it stands for. You understand what I'm saying? All right? Don't say it. No N-words in that sense. And I know we can go through, oh, the N means this and the N means that. Have respect for some people who are around and had to listen to that word, and it only meant one thing. It didn't mean homie. It didn't mean this. It didn't mean that. It didn't mean a Z. It didn't mean a, you know, GGAS. It didn't mean all of that. And they don't care to know what it has become. They understand what it is. And you got other folks using it now against you. And the same folks who use it will get mad at those other folks for using it. You can't take ownership on something that's negative like that. So if you're going to have group talk about it, have group talk about it, but we choose not to hear it in our hallways. But profanity also talks about staying away from gossip. You understand what I'm saying? Don't let people bring you mess talking about somebody else. Because chances are, if you engage in that, guess what? Somebody else will take that mess and talk about you. So use profanity in the same sense of cursing, use it with gossip. If you hear something about somebody, if Travis hears something about Mark, man to man, Travis should go to Mark and say, Mark, you know what? You know, I want to find this out. I had a person last semester that took a whole year before they confronted me about something. They said, Jeff, I thought you were involved with something, and somebody said you knew all about it. And, you know, they didn't speak to me for a year, and we sat for about 3 hours and dialogued. And they were like, wow, it would have been so much easier for me to come to you and let's talk about it. So stay away from gossip, folks. You understand what I'm saying? Build people up. Don't tear them down. There's nobody perfect in this room. We all have struggle. We all have scars. Safiya knows it. She said 29 years, she's heard every story. Don't assume because someone, we all wear masks. Don't assume because somebody looks like they got it all together, that they got it all together. Don't assume the other, that because a person looks like they don't have it all together, that they don't have it all. You don't know. It's not your business. Stop judging each other. We need to begin to build people up. So your code of conduct is about respect, getting it and earning it. And the only way that happens is we try and work together. Okay? Brother Tony knows this, and I'll end on this point. There was a speaker that we had here. I won't say who it is because I don't want you to taint some of the other positive things that this person has to say if you ever heard him. But there was a speaker that was here speaking to a group of young people. You remember this, Tony? It was earlier in the summer. And he says he's looking out there. He's like, you know, I ain't going to say to y'all that all of y'all are going to make it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't going to say that, you know, because all of y'all ain't going to make it. Some of y'all ain't going to do what it takes to be successful and blah, 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 blah. Tony and I looked at each other. We didn't say a word, but we knew with our eyes. You don't say that to people because you don't know. We're about building each other up. And what does making it mean? Dig what I'm saying? If I sit here and tell some of y'all that you're not going to make it because you're not going to do what it takes to make it, then some of y'all are just going to sit back and accept that. You understand what I'm saying? Excuse. You see? So my thing is, I'm not going to give you any excuses. I'm going to just tell you what you need to do. And in your own time, I've had students where I said things to them in their freshman year, didn't know if it sunk in until what? They crossed the stage and said, remember that time, da-da-da-da, 4 years later. So I'm not going to give you an excuse not to do your very best. You don't have one with me, but we can always dialogue about what it can take to remove each obstacle that's there. Jan Levan said she heard from someone that as soon as you express to the world that which you want to be, and I joked with Safiya about this last week, right? As soon as you express to the world that which you want to be, everything unlike it all of a sudden presents itself. You ever find that? I'm going to college, finally going to do something. All of a sudden, you lose your job. All of a sudden, you have family problems. All of a sudden, the car breaks down. You got to take some of that tuition money to get the car fixed. All of a sudden, the babysitter knocks out on you, or the voucher didn't come in so you can have daycare. All of those things. And then you know why? Because you said that you were going to do something. Now, I'm not telling you that to say, don't say anything. It doesn't work like that. Those things are still going to happen to you. It's called life, okay? But what I am saying to you is your first instinct should be to go to someone and say, this is my problem. I'm still determined to do this thing. How can I work around it? And if you live long enough, you realize you will always work around it. You will always work around it. There are things that y'all were struggling with 5 years ago that you can't even remember what you were struggling with. But 5 years ago was the most important thing in the world. It was going to end your life, wasn't it? But 5 years later, you don't even remember what it was. You're on to the next thing. So if you live long enough and you act appropriately through your problems, you will always get through it, okay? So I'm going to bring to the podium Brother Conley James. He's going to speak to you about some of those money issues and financial aid. He's been here for a number of years at Medgar College, so please give him a Medgar College family welcome. Conley James.
Give another round of applause to Jeffrey. Doesn't he have passion? This is a passionate individual here. I think he's in the wrong. I think he's a motivational speaker. And this is his laboratory. He's taking practices here. My name is Conley James, and I'm the acting director of financial aid. And my office is located in the Carl Street building on the second floor, room 223. The office hours are from Monday to Friday, or really Monday through Thursday from 9 to 7, and on Fridays from 9 to 12. My main mission here at this institution is to bring federal and state funds to you, make it accessible to you, make it easy for you to access these funds. But in order for me to do that, the first thing that you have to do is to apply. The first thing you need to do is apply. How many of you here have already applied for your financial aid? Oh, this is a great show of hands. The rest of you who have not applied, you need to do that like yesterday, because we're talking about a couple more days before the semester begins. And if you are dependent on financial aid to take care of your tuition costs, you should have already applied. But for this time, I'm going to give you a break. And I'm going to tell you why, because you're all a freshman. But I don't want to come back here again next semester and ask 5 or 10 days before the semester begins, have you already applied for financial aid? I want to see 100% show of hands. Because if you do not have the funds in your pocket to take care of this tuition cost, because it costs money, then what other way are you going to pay for your tuition or your education unless you apply for financial aid and do that early? And when I say early, I'm talking about January of each year. That's considered early. Because then you have time to do what? All the corrections that you need to do, if you need to make corrections. But it's vitally important that you apply early. And there's a benefit of applying for your financial aid early, because you stand a greater chance of getting the most funds. You apply for financial aid early, you stand the benefit of getting the most funds. Because there are only two programs out there, or two aids out there that you're entitled to, if you meet the requirements. And that is Pell, and that is TAP. All the other funds available out there is on a first come, first serve. Now, in order to get these funds, you have to, like I said, apply. It doesn't come and just, you think about it and drop, in your lap. You have to, first of all, apply. And how do you apply for financial aid? By using the FAFSA form. Now, the paper process is becoming a thing of the past, because the federal government is pushing and pushing and pushing for the electronic process. It's more cost effective. They say if they can save on paper, they can put more money in your hand. They can put more money towards, because it takes a bunch of funds to provide paper. But the first thing you need to do is apply, whether you do paper or electronically. There's an advantage to do it electronically because you get a quicker response. You do paper, it takes 6 weeks. You do it electronically, it takes 14 days. A big, big difference. And there are times when you might get the response back within 7 days. It all depends on the volume that they're working with. But you first need to apply. You got to apply. When you fill out your financial aid using the FAFSA form, what you're doing, you're applying for federal funds. You're applying for federal funds. And these federal funds consist of several programs. They consist of the Pell program. They consist of the SCOG. I'm putting out terms and out there because these are terms that over the years is going to be part of your vocabulary. But the SCOG means Supplemental Student Opportunity Grant. But we're going to hear, did you get your SCOG? You're going to hear the term Pell. Did you get your Pell? You're going to hear another program called Work Study, Perkins Loan, Federal Direct Loans. All those programs I just mentioned are all federal programs. Now, when you fill out their FAFSA form, from last year for the first time, and they kind of making the process even more simpler this year, is that you can do your state program or your state application electronically also. So as you do your federal aid electronically, you can just go and link right into their website, the state website, and do your state application. What do you get from the state? You get TAP. You get TAP. And TAP, you're going to hear that term again. Did you get your TAP? And that means Tuition Assistance Program. Now, TAP is mainly, to pay for tuition. That's what Tuition Assistance Program. The maximum TAP you get in CUNY schools, because of our tuition costs, is $2,000. And only because in senior schools in CUNY, the total tuition cost is how much? $2,000. All the other things out there are fees. To be a full-time student here, from 12 to 18 credits, the total fee and tuition is $21.25. It just went up a couple of cents the other, for this semester. But the maximum you pay as a full-time student is $2,000 towards tuition and the rest in fees. And the total of that is $21.25.85. Now, the total TAP, if you get the full amount of TAP, is $2,000. The total federal Pell that you get is $2,025 per semester. The SEOG can range from $200 to $400. The work study can range from $200 to $2,000. All depends on availability of funds. The Perkins loan can range from $750 to $2,000. But these campus-based funds like the work study, the SEOG, the Perkins, they come to you when you apply early, because those are funds that CUNY allocate to each school. These are monies that the federal government sends to CUNY as a university, and then CUNY tie it out to each school, and when that fund is finished, it's done. So it's on the first come, first serve. And I'm telling you all to be conscious, in terms of how you're all paying for education, and if you're dependent on financial aid, you all must do it early, because if you look around, you see every day in the news, tuition is what? Going up and up. So you need all the funds available to assist you paying for this education. You need all the funds available to help you or assist you pay for education. And if you know that you don't have the funds in your pocket to take care of your tuition costs, it's so vitally important that you do your financial aid early. Vitally important. Like I used an analogy in my first session, I said, the way I look at financial aid to a student that is dependent on financial aid to take care of their tuition costs is like someone going to the grocery store to buy milk and don't have money. You're going to the grocery store and your intention is to go and get some milk, and when you get there you realize you don't have money. It's the same thing when I look at students dependent on financial aid to take care of their tuition costs, and when time to pay for their tuition, they don't have their financial aid in place. Because the bursar will ask you, how are you going to pay for your tuition? How are you going to pay for it? Financial aid, did you apply? Not yet. So how is he going to bursar you? How are you going to stay in class? The reason I'm so passionate about it, because I need a culture change. I want you all to understand that it's very important to apply for these aid early. And early means January of each year. And what that means is that if you're thinking about attending school for the fall semester, you apply for financial aid in January, say February, and this aid is for the fall of '05 and the spring of '06. So if you apply for financial aid in January, it's taken care of for the fall semester, and it's also taking care of your tuition costs for the spring of '06. Then January of '06, you'd start thinking again, let me apply for financial aid for fall '06 and spring '07. Give yourself all the time to, so that you make sure that your aid is there, everything is taken care of, because there are times the federal government will ask us to verify the information that you send to them. All of this, take time. you're now going to have to, garner up, information to bring back to the financial aid office for us to process this. So it's very important that you do this thing on time. We have a computer lab in the Carroll Street building in room 222, and it's designated just for this purpose, for you all to apply for your financial aid electronically. So please, if it's one thing that you take away from here, is apply for financial aid early. We will do, the rest. We will notify you and tell you that you need to come in and bring this, because the government will notify us and say that this student needs to be verified. When your financial aid package is all tidy up and everything, we will send you an award letter, like showing all the different awards that you receive. Your TAP, your Pell, your SEOG, your work study, your Perkins. We'll send you a letter or budget letters showing the different type of aids that are available to you to use. But in terms of getting those extra money, like the SEOG, the work study, and Perkins loan, you must apply early. Okay? Any question? Of course. As a matter of fact, you stand a better chance getting work study if you get full financial aid in terms of full Pell and full TAP, because work study usually goes to the most neediest of students. So the answer to that is yes, you can get work study. Work study, the work study program, here at MEC, what we do is, before students get into the program, after you get awarded the money, we do an orientation, and that is only prepare you, or tell you about the program, and tell you the requirement, what the expectation is for the program. You can work on campus, or you can work off campus. You can work into the high schools, you can work into the public institutions like Kings County, the hospital, the nonprofit hospitals around, or you can work on campus. Loans? The loans are available for those who need it.
This program you mentioned, you have to pay back?
There is a tremendous difference with loans and grants. And who can tell me the difference in these two? As the term implies, grants you do not have to pay back. And let me go over the grants again. The grants are Pell, TAP, the SEOG, and the work study. You don't have to pay, well, the work study you have to work to earn the money. You have to work to earn the money, but you don't have to pay those back. Loans, as the term implies, if I lend you money, you got to give it back to me. It's loan. I'm loaning you something, so you have to pay me back. So yes, you have to, loans, you don't pay back. You pay back loans, and grants you do not pay back. Yes. If you did not, you can register, but then the next question is, how are you going to pay? How are you going to pay? Oh, okay. Sure, you can register. You can put classes in, but they give you, our policy here, 72 hours before you pay. If you don't pay by that time, exactly. When you fill out the FAFSA form, you can go online. There's a link after you submit the FAFSA to do your TAP application online. If for some reason you miss that process, the state will notify you again. Say that they found out that you did the FAFSA. Now here's a link. You can go back in their website and do it. If you missed all of that, they'll send you a paper application.
How would I become part of the program?
That's a good question. And you know what? I like to give the student the basic requirements. And the requirements are well, if you file tax, that would be on your income tax. And you know who you put in there, because on the application, it will ask, do you have dependents? And it's your kids, so you should know. And another question on the application, it will ask, do you have other dependents other than your children? Because some of us might be taking care of someone else. Like grandparents or parents, some of us. Any other questions? This is the time to ask questions. But for those of you who have not applied for financial aid as yet, I'm urging you all to do that like yesterday or right away. As you leave here today, think about, applying for financial aid. We have the lab available in the Carroll Street building. You all make use of it. Just come with the necessary documentation, like it says, your 2004 income documents. And don't be afraid, because we always have a staff member or staff members in the lab to assist. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. The question is, if you say for some reason apply for your financial aid late and you come out your pocket and pay your tuition, and subsequently you apply for financial aid, any award that comes in is your money. And let me say this, because none of you ever ask, what happened to the difference of this money? After my tuition cost and so forth is taken care of, the difference is in your pocket. And it's for you to take care of your other educational costs, like transportation, lunch, books. We have a process here, and I'm saying again, because as we talk, other ideas will come to me. We have a process here where we give book vouchers to students that have the excess funds to take care of book vouchers. But how do you get these book vouchers? You must have Tap and Pell in place. So that's why it's vitally important to apply early, so that you have the two programs there to accommodate this book voucher process. We in financial aid, we process the programs, and the Bursaul's office, they do the disbursement or distribution of the funds. I think for the first time this year, the mailing of checks will be centralized, where it will no longer come from individual colleges, but they will be mailing the checks from the central office. So it's important, again, to make sure that you have proper addresses. If you have an address with an apartment number, make sure that you put that down, because when they start to mail these checks, those things are going to be very vital, very important.
So once you do that the FAFSA application, that's good for TAP too?
That's for the federal, but what happened, that's the starting point in the whole process. Because as you do the FAFSA, the federal government kind of communicate with the state, say, here is someone who did a FAFSA. Now I have to communicate with that individual. I'll send you information, say that you can go back on my website and do the TAP. Once they get a signature that you submit your FAFSA to to the federal government, they will notify you that you can go back on their website and do the TAP application. If with all their notification you still fail to respond back to them, we will send you the paper application. So they will never miss you. All right? But again, one note of caution here. Those of you who do the application via the website, it's very important that you check your email. When you put an email on the application, they no longer send you the paper student aid report or the soft. They will tell you that you can access the student aid report by going back into your email and print it off. So you might be looking for them to send you a paper response. Once you put an email on the application, they're communicating with you electronically. That's what I'm saying. They're getting out of this paper business. So look, check your email for communications from the federal government. When they ask you to print information off, print it off and bring it in to us. Let us check it. Anytime you get any communication or any documents from the federal or the state, always bring it into financial aid. Let us look at it. And then another thing of caution is to make sure that you follow through. Not just you apply for financial aid and everything is all right. Make sure that you come to the financial aid and make sure that we tell you that everything is okay. Because a lot of times, when you open up the email and you look at the edit page on the student aid report, it says, read everything, and if you think everything is correct, it's okay. And when you come to us and I look into the system, I see that it's not okay. Because it's only okay when it's already set to pay. It's only okay when it's already set to pay. So it will be out there in limbo. And you're saying, but everything is all right. And then at the end of the semester, the bursar is billing you because the funds never come to the institution. So always follow up. Make sure that you follow it right through to the end. Any other question? The book voucher process is taken care of from the bursar's area. They'll have signs, and the last process they have last semester is they have a roster, and they send it to the bookstore, and they'll tell you go to the bookstore, and the bookstore look at this roster, and if your name is there, they will work with you. Okay? But it's very important, again, that you have the two programs in place, Pell and TAP, because they would not give you a voucher with just one of the programs, because no one of the programs really is sufficient to give you books. You have to have a combination of two. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. I want you, to encourage the rest of your colleagues to make sure they do what you're doing. Okay?
Do they offer any type of voucher of any kind of transportation sense, like when you get a MetroCard or something like that, or a certain amount of
Well, we do have departments there that a student fall into those type of emergencies, you can go and talk with them. One of them is the Women's Center. If you have those type of crises or emergencies, you can go and talk to Sister Bandele. But in terms of you come to financial aid or you come to the bursar and they have that type of emergency funds now. Now, you can, because I am the steward of a little fund there that that I kind of manage with one of the professors here. there are a lot of times when I will work with a student and give them so-called an advance on their programs or on their Pell, because here's an emergency that pops up. I don't have transportation, and I have to go back and forth to school, and my Pell check is not coming in until next month. I might look, evaluate the situation, see that you have your funds coming in. I might give you a small advance, no thousands of dollars, couple of dollars, to assist you until your Pell monies come, and then we take the monies back. Okay? But I'm the one you have to, kind of scout out for that, because it's not no big pot. It's a very small pot, and it's very limited. I hope we get there soon, but for now it comes in paper. We get that award letter from the processing center. We call it UAPC, and it comes in two parts. One we send to the student, and the other we keep in the student's file. Well, as we get it, we don't hold it. As we get it, we ship it out to the student. So you determine how soon you apply for the aid. The sooner you apply for the aid, the sooner you will get it, because they have to do the processing at the processing center and then send it to us. And then we send it to the student. I thank you all very much, and I also welcome you all here at this wonderful institution. Thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry.
You gonna set me up? Good morning, everyone. My name is Nelson Carrillo. I'm the admissions coordinator. Welcome to MEC College. Actually, this institution is my alma mater. I'm a graduate from this college. I know this institution for approximately 22 years. It's a great exploration, and it's great for you to be here. I'm the one in charge of whenever you need to bring in, when it's a requirement, it's supposed to be a requirement for you to bring your high school diploma, your residency, and your immunization to the Health Services Department. If you're a high school graduate, you have to submit your high school diploma to the Office of Admissions, and we'll make a copy of it. And then after that, we will put it in your file. As well as if you have a permanent residence or you were born here within the United States and you have not proved residency, you can bring that information to the admissions office. You need to have that prior to setting up all the information you need to have for financial aid, because financial aid and admissions, we work hand by hand. Anyone here has any questions about high school graduation or things like that, they need to submit to the admissions office. Okay. All right. Residency. Anyone here has any questions about residency? Residency is very, very important. That's correct.
Based on the fact that it's military funded.
Mm-hmm.
And you still are able, being that I've always lived in New York,
Mm-hmm.
I'm still able to file under the W-2 form, or I don't really know the terminology in each one of those forms, but I was able to file to get taxes taken out in New York State.
Okay.
I had a job, but it wasn't like.
Okay. When you file for financial aid, you have to make sure that you have submitted the income tax return 1040. If you're in public assistance and exercise, that's very important to submit, because automatically if you have exercise or Social Security, you're eligible for financial aid. However, if you're working, again, it has a lot of different variables when it comes to being eligible for financial aid if you are working. if you're head of household as well. So these are things that you have to make sure you can discuss that with financial aid office. Now the admissions office, when I mean we work hand by hand, means that we are responsible, the admissions office, to make sure we collect anyone who's holding a green card or a pink card or a beige card needs to submit the permanent resident card to the admissions office. We make a copy of it and put it in your file. Secondly, anyone who's born within the United States and have not proven their residency, they can bring their birth certificate into the Office of Admissions, or they can bring their passport stating that they're USA citizen. Now, if you know that you've been here all your life, and we all know that you've been here all your life, then you don't have to bring those documents to the office, because we already know that you are a USA citizen. But if you were not, your parents were not born here, and you were born here, you have to bring that information to the admissions office. I, for example, when I first started college, I indicated that I was a citizen. But then again, I wasn't born here. But I'm born because Puerto Rico is part of the United States, it's Commonwealth, so we had to submit high school diploma. Some people who are born here and parents are born, let's say, in Haiti or in Dominican Republic, they check off the last line on the application. They have to submit proof of residency, bring in their birth certificate. Now, another thing that I would like to address with you that is very, very important is that, let's say if you have a passport I-94, which is a card that you have a visa, you came in from another state, and you are a high school graduate from here because you came into the state maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. You can be eligible for the in-state tuition by filling out an affidavit form that you have to get it notarized to be eligible for the in-state. However, you're not eligible for financial aid due to the fact that you don't have a green card yet or you're not a USA citizen. Anybody has any questions about that? Because there's a lot of details when it comes to residency, and I'm quite aware of it because I've been dealing with this almost every day. I'm working in the office for approximately 6 years, and I'm also a little bit aware about financial aid because when I was a student here at MEC College, I had experience working in the financial aid office. Because you learn when you apply for financial aid, like a young lady here, I think it was a young lady or a young man here, I'm not quite sure, checked off they was interested in college work study. If you're interested in college work study, you might not get it, if you're eligible for financial aid, you might not get it the first term, maybe the second term. And then that will make you eligible to work on campus and get hands-on experience working in the different departments here at MEC College, which is the place to be. All right, I'm very proud of this institution. It means a great deal to me. And everyone here, you can stop me at the hallway, you have any questions, you can come and see me and I will help you with no problem. Because all of this that I do comes up a great deal from my heart. When I went to school here at MEC, I graduated with a computer science degree. I didn't want to leave the college. I decided to stay here, majored in business administration. And I said, you know something? This is the place to be. I feel so good and comfortable here. And we have excellent tutorial service. Anybody here has any problems? Upstairs in room 2035 or 2036, sign up for free tutoring. I mean, that's the best thing. Just get free tutoring. And again, if you have any questions about high school diploma or have not graduated yet, you need to submit what you call from the main office of your high school, a letter stating that you have officially graduated, if you don't have your high school diploma as of yet. Last but not least, immunization, which I discussed earlier. That we remind the students about immunization. However, we don't collect immunization. That goes directly to the health services department, which is in 1150 Carroll Street, room M20. You make sure you have 2 sets of measles, mumps, and rubella. We don't hold responsible for that, but we do remind the students about immunization. Yes. Yes, it is. It's mandatory because if you don't have it, unless you have a religious reason or another health reason, you have to submit that to the health services and they will make that determination. Yes. If you don't have the card, that's a very good question. If you don't have the card, what you can do is you can go to your health physician, medical physician, and they can go and give you if they don't have it in your files, they can give you a blood work. In your blood work, they can stay, for blood work only for immunization. And they can see and catch exactly, they can see which immunization you have received. measles, mumps, and rubella. It has to be 2 sets of each. Last but not least, which is part of the immunization, is you need to know what is meningitis, which comes with the form, and you need to fill out the response form sheet. If you don't, then that will hold you back from doing registration. Yes. That's good enough. Okay, if you have not received anything about meningitis, which is a very good question, you can pick up the meningitis form 2 places. Health Services, which is #1 place, is 1150 Carroll Street, room M20, or you can pick up one at the admissions office, 1665 Bedford Avenue, across the street. Okay, and we can give you the immunization form or the meningitis form. Anyone has any other questions in reference to, yes? The address again is 1665 Bedford Avenue. It's across the street from this campus, this building. It's right next to the pizza parlor. Our office hours is Monday through Thursday from 9 to 7, and on Fridays we open from 9 to 12. Anybody here has any question about high school? Everyone here submitted their high school diploma or official high school transcript? If you have not yet submitted that to the admissions office, please do so, because we need to put that in your files and indicate that you actually graduated from high school. I work very closely with University Application Processing Center, as well as I work very closely with the high school advisors. So anyone who has any issues with high schools, they can call my office and they can talk to me. Thank you very much for your time and patience, and God bless you all.
Good morning, everyone. I am Professor Huggins Anderson, and I work with freshman year program. I know you guys are tired. We're wrapping up, but I need for you guys to listen to the last few words, because it's important. A lot of you were here last night, right? Show by a raise of hands how many of you were here. And you received a registration letter telling you what the date and time that you need to come in to register. Tomorrow, I think it's tomorrow and Thursday. When you do come in, we need for you to bring your high school diploma with you. We need for you to bring your green card. Also, immunization, if you have immunization. The reason for that is, a lot of times when you come in to register, if it's not on the computer and you don't have proof of it, we are not going to be able to register you. So then we'll have to tell you, come back tomorrow, come back the following day. So we want to see whatever time you have for your appointment. We really want to see you guys. And we want to be able to register you so that everything will be, smooth. Everything will run smoothly. No, you can't register without the immunization. Because what happens is that the computer puts a stop on your file. So in order for the stop to be taken off, we must have those documents to put in your classes. Okay. Do you have your immunization card? What's going to happen is that, comments though, some of you we may be able to give you a waiver, but the waiver is only until Friday. So if by Friday you don't have the doctor's note, then your classes are going to be dropped. Okay? Say that again? Are you a transfer student from another school? Okay. Did you take the entrance exam when you came in? Okay, so the only thing we need is the results from the entrance exam, which we have. We have the results. So once we have that, we can put in classes based on whether or not you exit your math, your reading, and your writing. If you took it on Saturday, call before you come. Because if we do not have your testing scores, then you cannot register. Next week. Some students, any of you taking the exam next week on the 24th? I know some students are taking it on the 24th. Okay, no one here? Great. Call testing, or even after you leave here, testing is upstairs. Find out whether or not the results came in. Because if the results are still, you're still waiting for it, it's pending, then you cannot register. Yeah. Come in the same time that you have for Wednesday, come in that same time and explain to them that you don't, the results for your test, you're waiting for the results. All week next week. Monday, from 10 to 6:30. Monday through Thursday. So now I just want to tell you guys, thank you for coming. Welcome to Medgar College. If any of you want to know, if you're unsure of what kind of stop you have, which is a high school diploma stop, or immunization stop, I actually have a list of names of new students and the stops that you have. So you can come and see me after, or you can just come for registration on your date, Wednesday or Thursday, the appointments you were given. Okay, so it's really up to you. So reach home safely, and welcome to Medgar College. What's your last name? F?